Hello, everybody. Seth and Sean Sports Radio here on StreamYard. I keep going back to Blog Talk for some reason in my head.
We did it for 10 years.
It's been over a year, though, dude. It's been over a year. Are you wearing a Gonzaga shirt?
I am wearing a Gonzaga.
Oh, I didn't think that. I didn't think you owned that. That's pretty cool.
You don't know everything I own.
I know. Why would you have a Gonzaga shirt?
Why not?
Well, I'm just curious. Who got you that? Because you didn't buy it.
Sure I did.
Were you in Washington when
I've actually been to Gonzaga.
Oh.
12 years ago.
12
I
years
bought it
ago?
for like $25. I wanted a hoodie.
No, I totally agree. I don't think I've ever seen it on you. So then again, you've probably never seen a pink polo on me. So I mean,
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that.
It's golf season. Come on. It's the No, it's just
Sorry, I'm just looking at my I'm looking at my double chin. It doesn't make me feel too good about myself. Look at this.
It's much easier from what I understand, if you have the computer that goes down, you take pictures coming down. So raise your screen up and
I'm not sure how to do that.
Or lower your seat. One of the two.
That I can do.
See? There you go. You see, this is what you get from taking all the pictures of females your whole life. Is that
use me?
Well, no, me. I've been taking pictures of like my family, and forever it's been you need to take the picture down.
By the way,
yeah,
call your mother.
Call my mother. For those that are unaware, Seth is both my accountant and my mother's accountant. So anyway, back to what we were supposed to talk about. Seth and Sean Sports here on StreamYard. I'm Sean Palmer. That's Seth Kamens over there. And you could find us on various sites if you wish. That's the best way And we're in our 11th year. And next week we'll be live. No, 2 weeks we'll be live. 2 weeks we'll be live on a Wednesday from the office.
Well, Sean, to be fair, we're always live.
Okay, we'll be in the same location. You're absolutely right. We'll be in the same location at Feder Kamens and Associates. Yeah.
They actually wanted to commit a coup and kick me out, and I said then the name of the company would be And Associates. I'm not sure how that would work, but good for them.
So are you home? Because I see a couch in the back.
I am home.
Oh, okay. So
Wednesdays are typically 50-50, and the kids didn't have school today. Oh. So Carly had a big thing, so it was easier for me to take Jake to a play date. It just worked.
And how are the kids doing these days?
They're still 6 and 4, so they're doing all right. Jake wants to watch Maryland, Minnesota tonight. I said you are probably one of about
6 people.
Yeah, well, it's about the equivalent of watching Syracuse, Florida State at this point.
Look, seeing Syracuse, Florida.
Yeah.
Look,
we've had a nice year.
Watching Syracuse play Duke was it's hard. It's hard, and Seth, you can appreciate this being pretty much in the same boat. We used to be on a Monday afternoon. The only thing we think about is where in the top 25 we were.
Yep.
Right? It was, are you going to be 16? Are you going to be 14? Are you going to be 20? Are you going to maybe be 23? Now there's no chance of being in the top 25. So,
see, if we didn't lose in overtime at Nebraska, we would have been in the top 25 this week. So,
right, but that's what but that's my point, right? You're gunning for the top 25.
Right.
While we used to be perennial.
It used to be a non-thought. We'd be somewhere between 12 and 20. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, but it's a new era here where everyone is ended up really, really happy with Kevin Willard. Admittedly, not my choice, but he seems to be working out really well. We have a top 10 recruiting class coming in. We're going to go to the tournament as a 7 or 8 seed. It's more than I could have asked for.
I know you and I have had this discussion where we don't like.
We've had every discussion. We've been hosting.
We've had this discussion on this show that we don't like college basketball the way that it is.
Sure.
We've had that. But when I'm looking at most sports these days, and suppose specifically, I was looking at the hockey rankings last night, and the Islanders are in the 7/8 spot, barely sneaking into the playoffs. Seems like a lot of my teams these days, except for the Mets, who are going to spend until they get in. But the fact is, I think there's more parity in sports than there's ever been before in every single sport. College football, in college basketball, in the NHL. There are like
Wait.
There are like 7 teams within 3 points in a playoff spot.
Do you really think college football is parity?
I think if you take away the top 4 teams, yes.
If you take away the top 4 teams, but there's only 4 teams that currently make the playoff.
True.
So how the hell? So you're literally saying if we take away Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State,
I'd say Michigan over Clemson this year, but sure. But the point is, look, it used to be, and I'll say this from even 2, maybe 5 years ago, Alabama was never going to lose, right? They went in, it was a non-story. Like if you beat them, you were rushing the field all the time.
Yep.
I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I
don't
know
know.
for certain it's not the case with Clemson.
Sure. Well, Clemson the last 2 years has not been what Clemson was for the decade before. But I think people rushed it. There was a hysterical statistic in Purdue's last 8 road losses.
We're going to
Basketball. But the idea is there have been 7 crowd celebrations on the court.
Which is ridiculous.
It's insane.
But that's what I'm saying. Everybody's beatable. There are no perennial superpowers anymore, especially in college.
Georgia's won 24 in a row, 23 out of 24, 35 out of 36. College football, I can go with you on college basketball.
Okay.
Because college basketball is so transient at this point.
But I do that even in pro sports. Like outside of the Boston Bruins, Boston Bruins are on a different level than everybody else this year. They're the out. But
okay,
if they lost in the playoffs, would I be shocked? No, of course not. Baseball.
Wait a second. Baseball is absolute parity. But
right?
I mean, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They just can't win a playoff series.
Is the NFL parity? I think the NFL.
I mean, to a degree, but Kansas City.
Come on, Jacksonville went from nothing to everything, right?
Fine. What are you talking about? Are you talking about they can go from 3 wins to 10 wins? Or are you talking about at the championship level?
I'm thinking that, but once you get in the playoffs in pro football, anybody can make it to that championship level.
Really? Did you? When we started the playoffs, how many teams did you think legitimately had a chance to make the Super Bowl? I counted 5.
Okay, 5 out
Buffalo, Cincinnati.
There were what?
14.
14.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia. Did you see any other team with a road to the Super Bowl?
Probably not.
I mean, Minnesota was the 2 seed. Nobody saw them going anywhere. I mean, I don't know. Or the 3, because, but I don't know if it's parity or there is some parity. There's no New England Patriots right now.
Correct.
There's no Golden State Warriors right now.
Yep.
But they were there last year. I don't know how you have the NBA as parity.
Hold on, but they were there last year. Were they going into the playoffs? Did you think the Golden State Warriors were the 6 years ago Golden State Warriors? Come on.
No, but they've won 4 titles in 7 years.
Okay.
5 titles in 7 years. So I'm not sure if that constitutes parity.
All right. Look, I can see your point. I just don't see. I don't see the. I want to say I don't see the dynasties, but you're making a point where 4 out of 7.
4 out of 7, 4 out of 8. And if Durant doesn't get hurt against Toronto, it's 5 out of 8. So
are they the 4 out of 7? Say Chicago Bulls? No, right? They're not. Are they going?
No,
they're 10. Are they at that point? No.
You mean no? But it's a completely different era. It's why I've stopped having the goat argument. I mean, Chicago would have had Fitz trying to guard Golden State. Golden State would have had no chance guarding Chicago. It would have been. I mean, who? I mean, yeah. Look, they played a more physical game, but you have guys pulling up from 35 feet. That was not in existence 25 years ago.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just see it as you can go, and maybe it was just because I was looking at the NHL last night.
So I do have to ask one serious question.
What
the hell is with the pink shirt?
Why am I wearing pink? I don't know. I just picked it up.
Is it breast cancer month? Breast cancer awareness month?
No, I think that's November.
You're not running the Susan Coven breast cancer run?
No. I don't know. I just picked it out. It was.
You look in college basketball. Purdue has lost 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5. Alabama, I mean, their best player has been arrested for providing a gun to an ex-teammate who murdered somebody. Not really sure where that's going to go. Houston's a really good. Houston is Houston, where you know they're really good. But does anyone really have a feel for college basketball this year?
Well, but I'm saying the same.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you on college basketball. I'm agreeing with you. And I don't think you're ever going to again because literally, first of all, 5 of the top 20 guys are going to the G League anyway, and eventually they're going to end up going pro because eventually they'll get rid of the one and done. Are they getting rid of the one and done in next year or 2 years from now or something like that?
A couple of years when look, it's one of the things that's on the agenda for the new collective bargaining agreement. And they said that they were opening it up over the All-Star game. There were talks. So,
right. But I mean,
NBA is not going to strike again. No. Like the thing is, strikes are not going to happen except in baseball from now on. They're just not. And part of that is amazing, right? That they're not. But and we can get onto this with the NFL because I wanted to talk about the franchise tag. Do you know the franchise tag has been around 30 years?
Just means we're old.
Well, you know who the first person in the franchise tag was, right?
I do. Remind me.
Reggie White.
Really?
He was the guy that opened up the franchise tag. He's the guy, and he went to Green Bay from Philadelphia.
Sure.
That's what opened up the franchise tag. And part of the reason why you won't have those strikes is because when you look at how much these guys are actually making through the franchise tag, I mean, yes, it's a 1-year deal. I get that. Yes. Could they get more on the open market? Potentially they could. Most of the time they will. But a 1-year, the thing about the franchise tag is it opens up the cusp of most of the time to a long-term deal, right?
Yes.
There are definitely people that it doesn't, like Jesse Bates, right? Jesse Bates got his 1-year deal. Dalton Schultz got his 1-year deal. They're not going to get these big long-term deals.
They will, just not with their current teams.
Right. But you can bet your bottom dollar Lamar Jackson's not playing under a $45 million contract this year. I cannot see that number being there. So the franchise tag for guys that have not had it already, and these are not the exclusive franchise tags. Exclusive meaning that nobody else can sign with them. They're generally, I think, 10% more, 10 to 12% more. So the quarterbacks are making 32. The linebackers are making 20. A linebacker, that's an inside and an outside. There's no difference. Defensive ends at 19, wide receivers at 19, defensive tackles at 18. I mean, even the special teamers are making 5.3.
Yeah.
So running backs are at 10. I mean, running back is like the cheap guy, right? At 10 million. So let me go through some of these guys, and you tell me if they're worth what the franchise tag is. So, and whether you think it will be taken, whether the team will offer it, and whether it will be taken or we're looking at something a little bit bigger. So, first of all, it's Lamar Jackson at 32.
He's not going to take it at 32. The problem is nobody knows really what to do with Lamar Jackson because he's a former MVP. but his game is built upon athleticism. He's been injured last year. He was injured the year before. Does someone want to sign him to a 5-year, 6-year deal because he's not a pocket passer where his game is not going to may not last because of injury?
Well, the non-exclusive tag is 32.4 and the exclusive tag is 45. So we talked about this last week. I truly believe that if he does not get the exclusive tag, you're going to see some offers after the draft. After the draft. Now, they have 2 weeks. I think they have one more week, 1.5
March.
weeks.
It's March 7th.
March 7th.
The
To
exclusivity.
decide whether to offer it. They will absolutely offer the franchise tag to Lamar
Sure.
Jackson. The question is which one, right? And then depending on whether Aaron Rodgers comes back or doesn't come back or is in hiding or isn't in hiding or is in the cave or isn't in the cave or whether he grows a man bun again. I have come around to this, Seth. You said a couple of weeks ago that Derek Carr would be a better fit for the Jets than Aaron Rodgers. I am coming around to that understanding. I am coming around to that conclusion. It took me a while. I still don't think either one of them is a great fit.
No, but you need to win this year for the coach, for Salah, and for the GM.
Douglas.
Forgetting his name,
Joe Douglas.
Joe Douglas. Realistically, to keep his job, they're not keeping their jobs at 6 and 11 next year. So you're not going to bring in you're too high to draft a rookie unless you're going to draft Richardson. And Richardson's not going to be a starter this year, no matter who drafts him. So the only options you have are Zach Wilson, which nobody is comfortable with, or you go out and get a veteran, which leaves you with Carr, Garofalo, or Rodgers. I think Rodgers will self-destruct on this New York team.
I think Rodgers is at the point where he's going to self-destruct on any team.
Well, that's my point. Who's going to drive? How do you trade? Because Green Bay's going to want number ones.
They're not going to give him number ones.
I understand, but that's what Green Bay is going to ask for.
Okay.
Look, doesn't mean as you said, doesn't mean they're going to get him.
Russell Westbrook wants to end games in the NBA. I don't think any team's going to let him in.
Well, we'll find out we'll find out at 1:00 in the morning some night when the Clippers are playing the Suns.
Yeah.
But Carr you can get Carr for, I don't know, 3-90, 3-105, something like that. He'll be a solid quarterback. If Hall comes now, the question also is, everyone's under the assumption Hall's going to come back. It usually takes 2 years to come back at 100%.
Yeah.
So we don't know what he's coming back at. You need a number 2 wide receiver.
No, I like a lot. I actually like their wide receiver core. I like Elijah Moore as a number 2. I do. Look,
okay,
this team is not built on. It should not be built on throwing the ball.
No, but if you have Derek Carr, if you have a quarterback you have a lot of confidence in, it could be. You're not going to play 7. You're not going to play 8 in the box against Michael Carter or James Robinson. You would do it against Breece Hall.
James Robinson won't be on this. James Robinson will not be on this team next
year. Yes, I understand that, but you get my point. There's no offensive weapon other than Garrett Wilson who scares anybody.
Probably true.
Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I said probably true.
So you need a second wide receiver or a tight end. Although Conklin did a nice job for you last year. Your running back position is okay. You need a veteran quarterback to get you to the playoffs. Carr, to me, I can see them going for Garofalo too, but Garofalo's been injured so much. And I don't know what Garofalo – I actually don't have a clue what Garofalo is going to want from a salary standpoint. Carr, I can kind of see in that 30 to 35 million. I don't know what Garofalo wants. Not that I know what Carr wants, but just my thoughts. The problem is nobody's going to want Rodgers. So, Green Bay's we'll see what happens. When he comes out of his retreat, is he still in his retreat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposedly he's still in his retreat.
God, that sounds boring.
I'm of the opinion that a retreat?
A 4-day retreat in pure darkness?
Everybody's got their thing. I mean, wouldn't be mine. I'd be bored. Not only would I be bored senseless, but I think I'd get claustrophobia on top of everything else. Yeah, I couldn't sleep that long. That's called prison to me. You go in a 4-day that's solitary confinement. Yeah, I mean, okay, so we went. I definitely don't see Lamar Jackson in a Jet uniform next year under any circumstances. I can't see it. All right. Is Daniel Jones worth your franchise tag? Taking in a vacuum, outside of Saquon Barkley, is he worth your $32 million?
They got to do it at 32. I'm not ecstatic with it, but he showed enough last year. The problem is he wants what he's going to want. I don't think they're going to pay him. And I don't think they should.
Well, and that's why you give him the franchise tag, right? Because you don't want to pay him that. You want
not until look, for the money that he wants. Supposedly he wants 35 to 40 a year.
And I will be right back.
Okay. Supposedly he wants 35 to 40 a year. And we're talking about a guy who had a wonderful year last year with a mediocre offensive line at best, probably one of the 2 or 3 worst sets of wide receivers in the league at best. And he only threw 5 interceptions, and he held the ball, and he ran the ball beautifully, and he controlled the game. And it was the first time they didn't really give him weapons, but at least Barkley was healthy. The problem is this: we don't have wide receivers. And we kind of need to see this with a little bit. We need another year. He threw 15 touchdowns. So it's not like they let him Russ be Russ. They controlled the game. But I don't want to pay $40 million a year for a guy who threw 15 touchdown passes. I'm not comfortable.
Does he have more? Does he have another level?
He does.
Okay.
He does.
Now, you've talked to me all the time about giving your quarterback weapons, giving your quarterback some – you can't do it yourself, right? Especially as a quarterback. You need help. Yeah.
That's why I was in favor. That was why I was in favor of Jones, because I didn't think they gave him any weapons. So I had no idea how good he was or not good he was. Look, they need to spend a first or second round pick on a wide receiver at a minimum. They probably need to pick one up in free agency. And then if you have a second tier guy, not a Kenny Golladay.
How about a Robert Woods? He became available today.
Fine, depending on the price point. We're Robert Woods guys.
You know I'm a big fan of Robert Woods.
We're Robert Woods guys. But you need, if Wan'Dale Robinson comes back healthy, again, tore an ACL. I don't know.
Right.
But Sterling Shepard comes back healthy, tore his ACL for the third time.
Sterling Shepard's not coming back.
Oh, I think he is. I think they'll sign him at a min deal.
Okay.
But you need a number one. They need whether it's Hyatt from Tennessee, Johnston from LTC. They need a potential number one wideout. Because
who's the guy from USC that was hurt Ohio State that was hurt all?
Jack Nigba. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jackson Smith Nigba, I think, or Nigba
or
Smith.
The guy from USC that
Jordan Addison.
Pittsburgh, right?
I'm not big on him. That came from Pittsburgh.
But those are the guys that you're going to have a chance at, because you're not getting the number one receiver down at the 20.
We may. Wide receiver, there's a lot of them. So there's nobody. There's a lot of them, but there's no Drake London or Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So, and look, the Giants had a wonderful year, but I'm not under the illusion that they're that good.
Okay, so let's keep going. So Jordan Poyer. So remember, safety is not an expensive tag. It's a $14 million tag for franchise, 11.5 for the transition tag. The transition tag allows other teams to offer.
But you did have to trade 2 first-round picks, so no one's trading.
No. Franchise is 2 first-round picks. Transition means
first and a third.
Transition means you have the right to match. That's what transition does.
I thought there was more than that.
No.
Okay.
Once you let him go, you let him go. That's it.
Supposedly he wants out. I don't know Buffalo's salary cap. I don't think they're in great shape.
No, they're not in great shape. They also have Tremaine Edwards, who's also a free agent. And
They're going to let Edmonds go.
He's 25, dude.
They signed Milano, who's a inside linebacker, to a 4-year, $50 million deal. How much can you spend on linebackers?
I don't know. I asked
the inside linebackers.
Ask the Jets. You got C.J. Mosley, and you're gonna have Quincy Williams. Okay, let's move on to your favorite player, and I'm talking
Joe
about
Flacco?
Evan Ingram, your favorite player. Tight ends, not a great franchise number. 11.5.
I wouldn't pay 11. I know he had a fantastic
1 year deal. That's all you're getting.
Look, it all depends on Jacksonville's. Let me go to what is it? Spotrac?
Yeah, I can. Jacksonville's got a pretty good cap. Hold on, I can get that for you. So,
I think the bigger question is, what would a 3-year deal be for Ingram? 3 for 24? 3 for 27?
Well, you start at the franchise. With all these guys, you're starting at the franchise number, right? The guaranteed amount of money. Oh, yes, you are.
You're not. Who's gonna? If you can sign, then you should always do a 1-year deal, because otherwise, I'm not paying.
No. If you are a team and you can get Evan Ingram and the franchise number is 11.5, right? This is where the teams come from. If I can get you on a 3-year, $35 million deal, but only 14 is guaranteed. Or 15 is guaranteed. I'm not saying you're starting the entire thing at the franchise number, but you're starting the guaranteed money at the franchise number.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going, right? So if you can get him for 3 for 30 with 14 guaranteed, that's the number, because then you're tying him for $9 million more for the next 2 years at a non-guaranteed rate.
Okay. When I was saying 3 for 27, I was guaranteeing a little bit more. So I was putting lower top, but more guaranteed at 16, 17, 18 million, something like that.
Okay. So you're banking on 2 years of Evan Ingram at that number. That's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
he got paid $2.5 million last year, by the way. So
I know
that would be a sizable increase.
Look, it's a team on the rise. They depending on where Calvin Ridley's head is and where he is, you have a nice receiving crew. The question is, the good thing with them is you have Trevor Lawrence on a rookie salary.
Yep. Yeah. For 2 more years.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to. You're much better at the spot track than I am. So
I'm gonna move on to the next guy. So in what I love,
actually, Jacksonville is $32 million over the cap right now.
Yeah, they're $32 million over the cap, and they got taught. The thing about being over and under the cap,
right? There's a lot of people who are not guaranteed that you're going to cut and have dead money on. I get it.
Well, I mean, Tennessee started today $22 million over the cap, and they ended it $6 million under the cap by cutting Randy Bullock, Robert at $5 million, Robert Woods at like 7.5, and then Taylor Lewan at like 14. So I mean, you can cap gymnastics. Go ask the New Orleans Saints. Like they are. I mean, they are a 3-ring circus with the amount of gymnastics that they do, and on the trapeze. How they might get Derek Carr in there is ridiculous, considering they're like $40 million over the cap right now. But a team that spends a ton of money on defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, now has Deron Payne coming up. He had 11.5 sacks, 20 quarterback hits. There's no way they let this guy go. No. And that's the thing about, ladies and gentlemen, the thing about franchise numbers is the minute that the person signs it hits the cap. And it's a 1-year deal. So it all comes on the cap this year. as opposed to when you have a signing bonus and then it's prorated over the course of time. So if you just a little cap gymnastics here, cap understanding. A 3-year, $30 million deal with 20 guaranteed. That 20 is the signing bonus. That 20 is spread over the 3 years. So it's six and a half for each year. And then the remaining is unguaranteed. So that means 3.5 every year. So if you cut him at the end of 2 years, you will have a $6 million dead cap hit.
No, you have a $3 million dead hit.
No, you'll only save $3 million.
Gotcha.
You'll have the $6 million hit, and you'll save $3 million because the 6 was guaranteed at the start.
Based on the signing bonus. Yep.
So you would not cut that person because, in all likelihood, you'd have a $10 million hit, and you'd only save $3 million. So the question is, at that point, is it worth it? So when you're talking about guys with a franchise, though, that is a 1-year deal. That $28 million has to be accounted for the minute that the guy signs the deal. So when you're talking about absorbing $45 million and you're the Baltimore Ravens, if Lamar Jackson signed that tomorrow, if they offered it and he signed it tomorrow, you got to restructure everybody like within 2 seconds. You better get this done. So they're preparing for that. And that's the issue with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers has a $60 million cap hit next year. Like, it's off.
What would you do? You've asked me several times. What would you do if you were the Giants at this point?
I need to know who's out there, because I got to tell you, I like Derek Carr for the Giants. I think that would be a great deal. Would you be able to get Derek Carr at less than Daniel Jones? That's my question. Would I be sourcing that right now? Because Carr's out. Carr's
probably about the same.
You think so? Last report is that Daniel Jones wanted $40 million a year. Right. So you sure it's the same?
I was talking with Randy about this. If Daniel Jones wants $40 million a year, it's been nice having you. You can't. You cannot pay him $200 million over 5. You can't do it. He has not proven to be that. You're literally basing it on 5 or 6 games. And I like him, but
that's the difference, right? So in that respect, you sign him to franchise. You franchise him at 31 or 32, right, for 1 year. Are you paying Saquon 5 years and 60? Because that's what he's costing.
He turned down 3 at 42. I mean,
there's no way he turned down 3 at 42.
Supposedly, he turned down 3 at 42. I don't think Joe Shane's going to go any higher than that.
I guess it depends on how much is guaranteed. But 3 at 42
that I don't
in a year. I don't know. I mean, he said he doesn't want to reset the market. That would be basically
but
just
he wants to reset. Right. If he's a 50,000 under McCaffrey, then the problem is, look, Saquon's fantastic, but he's been hurt 3 out of 5 years.
Yeah. All right.
No one's giving him more than a 3-year deal.
Okay, so no Derek Carr. If you're the Raiders, are you franchising Josh Jacobs? He led the league in rushing.
I think so. At 10 million, a franchise is at 10 million.
Yep.
He was a top 5 running back. If they have, again, I want to kind of see where they are, but yeah, I think you kind of have to.
Okay. And the last one is Orlando Brown at around 22 million for a tackle. You have to. I can't see how you don't.
He's not. It's funny. As much as people have spoken about him, he's not a. I don't know if he's ever even been to a Pro Bowl. He's not a. When you hear the top tackles in the league, his name doesn't typically come up. I think you do have to.
Well,
the Raiders have The Raiders have $50 million of
Between him
cap
and
space. So,
well, between him and Joe Thuney, yeah, it's about $35 million of cap space between the two of them. That's a lot for two guys. And like I said last week on the show, they have Frank Clark's cap number next year is over 30 million, and Chris Jones is 28. You're going to see something going on there because those two guys are not worth $58 million.
No, as good as Chris Jones is, he has been, and Frank Clark's not even in the discussion at this point.
Yeah, so they can get out of Chris Jones's this year with $7 million in cap space if they wanted to, and they can get out. $7 million of dead space. And Frank Clark, I think, is even more than that. Nope, yeah, it's $9 million of cap room. So they cut him in half between the two of them.
I don't think they have a choice. But Jones was fantastic this year. So you may want to restructure, but no, I mean the Giants have Andrew Thomas's contract coming up. They have McKinney's contract coming up. They have Dexter Lawrence's contract coming up. You know, they have some real tough calls to make, and I can't spend $40 million on Daniel Jones.
I do find it interesting how teams have tough calls when they're in the Jets and Giants situation, right? Where it's like, how tough really is this call? Like you're not a championship team. How tough is this call? Are you going to be that much worse if you let go of these guys?
I mean, look, the teams that are in great position are the teams either with quarterbacks on rookie contracts or quarterbacks who, and I find this hard to say with a straight face, considering he signed for $500 million, but probably gave Kansas City a really good deal the way it's looking.
Pat Mahomes' deal is one of the best deals in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of his money is, I think he has like 200 guaranteed, but the guarantee is not going to matter. The guy's won two MVPs and gone to 5 conference championships and won 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, in 6 years, because he was on the bench for a year. So anything they pay him is more. What is Philly going to do with Jalen?
So it's always interesting looking at these types of deals. So after 2026, do you know they can cut him with no dead cap? Done. I mean, his cap hit is $41.5 million after 2026. In 2026. Okay. His cap hit this year was $46 million. Oh, sorry, it was 30. Next year is 46. So he actually decreases in 2026.
Yeah.
And then in 2027, you're going to see a renegotiation because it jumps up to 59. But by that point, with the way that the cap keeps increasing, 10%, 5 to 10% year over year,
his percentage is not going to be outlandish.
Well, and that's been something that Pro Football Talk has continually said about Joe Burrow. He should tie his salary to a percentage of the cap rather than to a salary. So as the cap goes up, he gets more money. Now, Mahomes' contract, remember, no guaranteed money. None. At some point. Ends at 38 million, 38. Oh, I'm sorry. He does have some. No dead caps. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, because they absorbed all the cap in the first 3 years. If they had cut him after 2022 or before 2022, it would have been 130 on the cap.
Somehow, I don't see that being a bit of a consequence.
Well, it was 2 years ago, so yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, so talk to me. So we have some tennis news. Who would have ever thought tennis news? Djokovic has asked U.S. for permission for entry, and he's not vaxxed. I think this is a non-story.
I agree. I didn't even think about it. We're 3 years past it. People who are vaxxed are vaxxed. People who are not. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And if so, the Yankees. So let's move on to baseball, which is like your favorite subject of all time in the middle of February. And I have to bow out in a couple of minutes. So
That's okay. I'm fine with it. Well, we can end in 5 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah. So Frankie Montes, I love this, has surgery, eyeing the second half. The big acquisition for the New York Yankees last year. The big acquisition. Poof, poof, poof. I mean, this goes back to you trying to replace Brian Cashman. I mean, or every Yankee fan trying to replace Brian Cashman. Or Aaron Boone, or Aaron Boone. Are you running out because of how many times we've talked about this? Or is it just the end of a long, long day?
Both. I've been up since 4:20 this morning. But no, okay, I mean, look, they spend $600 million.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll get them there. Well, and if not, there's no ramification to either of these guys, so it doesn't really matter.
No, and that's the thing, right? There are no ramifications for either one of these guys. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to end this early because Seth is exhausted and I have to make a phone call. So we'll be back next week with a little bit more on what we're doing and a little bit more structured of a show. So thanks you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
See you.